The stars are bright, we own the night. The stars are bright, we own. The stars are bright, we own the night. The stars are bright, we own. The stars.
So it's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
I'm gonna read your bio and stuff, but for those who don't know, Matt and I know each other. We've been on a few councils. I won't give the whole full details and stuff like that, but we've worked together. And I just wanted to have this impactful conversation with you, and your journey with multiple myeloma. As I always say, I wish we weren't in this bubble that we're in, but we're in it.
We're in it.
We're in it. So, we try to advocate and to just be a voice for others, for other people to see and hear our stories and all of that.
Good. Yeah, that always helps. I mean, I know, when I was first diagnosed, and even now, being able to talk to other patients and hear from patients that have been living with the disease for a while is like really helpful and motivational and all that stuff.
It's true. As I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm a broken record, so everyone please forgive me when you hear the replay. But it's like when I was first diagnosed, there weren't a lot of resources, if you will, for you to, if you had certain questions and all of that. So it's kind of good to see so many years later, some people who are comfortable to, share their journey and all of that. Because I know in the beginning, it was like pulling teeth to try for someone to like help.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, welcome everyone to No Better Time Than the Present series. This is an IG Live series that we've kind of come up with. And tonight we have the honor of speaking with Matt Goldman. Goldman, I'm sorry, Matt. Matt was diagnosed with multiple myeloma on May the 2nd in 2011 at the age of 49. He had been feeling ill for several months leading up to the diagnosis, experiencing what a lot of us experience, a lot of fatigue, fevers, and night sweat. Eventually, he was hospitalized because of the severe anemia and failing kidney. During that stay, Matt was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is an incurable but treatable blood cancer. Matt had 4 different chemo regimens in the first year after his diagnosis. He did go through a relapse in 2016 and started an immunotherapy that he continues to be on to this day, and is grateful that his kidneys have rebounded and that he has avoided dialysis. Yes, that's a good thing.
Yes, for sure.
Matt has retired in the work forum in July 2017 to focus on his health and to be more involved in advocacy and volunteering. He volunteers for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, helping to connect newly diagnosed blood cancer patients with patients who have experience with the same disease. Matt lives in Southern California with his wife, Leslie, and has maintained his blog, Matt vs. Myeloma. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So, how's it going?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me, and more importantly, thank you, Yolanda, for doing this. I think it's awesome that you're, talking to other patients and giving this access to patients and letting others sort of hear people's stories. I think it's really helpful. So thank you for doing that. It's wonderful. It's going good. Myeloma wise, everything's stable. I'm very grateful for that. I relapsed, my bio says I relapsed in 2017, and I went on to Darzalex and Pomalyst and dexamethasone, and it's been the best thing I've been on since I was diagnosed. And that's a real blessing. We've come a long way in treatment in 11 years. I mean, there's a lot more options with a lot less impacts. So myeloma-wise, I'm doing pretty good. I kind of feel like, in some respects, my body's taking a beating from all the treatment and nonstop steroids. My skin is so fragile from the steroids. It's been nonstop. I've never had a break. So I bruise easily, and I bleed easily, and kind of that sort of thing, and dealing with a bad back that's kind of related to me getting old, which is a great thing, but also just a little bit to my bones getting a little bit weaker from the myeloma and from the steroids. But again, I've been blessed. My kidneys are really damaged by the myeloma, but my bones, the majority of people are diagnosed because they've had broken bones or bone problems, and I haven't had any of that. So overall, I'm doing pretty good.
That's good.
Long
That's
answer.
Good. No, it's not a long answer at all. It's crazy because it's like the marathon continues because this is definitely a marathon. And there's always something. If you guys have seen my little over the last month and change, there's like all these like little things popping up that it's like, okay, what's going on? So though in the case for me, I'm in remission, there still seems to be residuals of other things like still kind of going on. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So it like the party just don't stop. It's like a party that you've had enough of, but it's still kind of pulling you back into the groove.
Oh, for sure. We went to, my wife and I, we've kind of been in a bubble for the last 2 years, just trying to stay safe and healthy. But last month we went to one of my nephew's weddings. It was an outdoor wedding. I'm in Southern California, it was in Northern California. And so there was a lot of family members that I hadn't seen in quite a while. And I don't share everything with everybody. I'm kind of selective with family members.
Right.
But, certain people, I was telling them that, even though my myeloma is in a good spot, I mean, there is not a week that goes by that I don't have some kind of doctor's appointment or something medical related, which is crazy because, I only do my treatment once a month, yet there's always something. And, like you said, it's a marathon, right? And so I'm kind of, honestly, I'm trying to work on my mental health right now because I feel like, because it's a marathon, I thought I was really handling everything really, really well, like emotionally and mentally. Like I feel like I've been a real superstar. But of late, I feel like 11 years of doing all this and being stable, but uncertainty is kind of sort of made me a little bit anxious and tense all the time. And so frankly, I'm kind of working on my mental health right now.
I totally get it.
And that's the thing that I think about and explain to people, like, even though we're dealing with our health and all the medical stuff, sort of normal, regular life does not stop. We still have relationships, you know, which sometimes take a little bit of work, but are, you know, good. We still have bills to pay. We still have, you know, I retired for, you know, a few years ago because I just couldn't maintain the work, taking care of my health balance. Quality of life was horrible. But we still, you know, for 6 years, 7 years, I still had going to work full time and, you know, paying bills and going to doctors. And so normal life doesn't stop, which is, you know, in the big picture, that's a good thing. It means we're still alive and we're still here and we're still able to do all those things. But we do need a break. Like I said earlier, we're house and dog sitting for some friends right now. And actually, I just came over here. My wife stayed home, and I'm just like lying on my friend's couch watching TV and letting their dogs just come in and out. And it's kind of like a little break. It's like a mini vacation, you know, 10 minutes from my own house.
Right.
But we need that.
Definitely. It's funny because a friend of mine did this thing not long ago to go hiking or something to that effect, and I was like, I'm not that chick. Okay. But it was actually fun just to kind of be outdoors, and it was shorter than I thought because we did like a shorter trail thing or whatever. I'm not about the outdoor life.
Right.
That's not my thing. But it wasn't bad, you know, and it was like surprising how I really enjoyed it. And then I was telling my husband, I was like, yeah, you need to take a day off, like on a weekday rather than a weekend, because it's probably crazy on a weekend. So that way we can do that again, because that was kind of fun, you know. You know, just something just to,
yeah, just to get outside a little bit and hear the birds and look at trees is kind of just pretty helpful.
It helps. It helps.
Yeah.
So let's steer this conversation a little in terms of when you were diagnosed. Like, for a lot of people, some people say they had like little inklings that something was going on with their body and all of that. Like, did you have anything other than what I've read?
Well, yeah, I did. I used to ride my bike to work every day. That was how I got to work every day. And I noticed, so I was diagnosed in May of 2011. And I noticed in like early 2011, like my normal commute to work was just, I was getting a little more tired. Like it became more work. And I just thought, maybe I'm just getting a little out of shape. Maybe I'm eating too much, you know, maybe whatever. But each week, that commute on my bike just got more difficult and more difficult, and I was having problems catching my breath even. And I kind of started to think, something's not right. Like this doesn't feel like a cold or a flu or being out of shape. And I had an inkling, and then I started to have around that time, I started to have night sweats. Every night I was just, our bed would be soaked. I would just have these sweats at night and fevers every night, like clockwork. And so I'd been healthy my whole life. So I went to my primary care doctor, and he didn't know to look for multiple myeloma. Most primary care doctors don't. And he took my blood and he saw something was not right. And we have diabetes runs in my family, and high blood pressure runs in my family. And so, but cancer doesn't. And so he started testing me for all of those things, and nothing came up. And in the meantime, I just kept feeling worse and worse. And then I was scheduled for a couple of tests, um, like in mid-April, but I went to Las Vegas for a friend's birthday party, and I was only there for maybe 2 hours, and I got really sick. The horrible fever and sweats, and my whole body just hurt. And I went to bed in this hotel and slept till the next morning and flew home. And it was at that point that and it's very strange. I was just kind of leaving a casino, but to go to the airport. And I had this really strong sensation that I was dying. Like it felt really like real to me. I felt fine that next morning. Like I thought, oh, I feel okay now, but I'm still better get home. I didn't feel like I should, stay there and celebrate a friend's birthday. But I had this kind of really feeling deep inside me that I was dying, and I thought, this is eerie. This is very eerie, and it scared me. And so I went home, flew home, and the next day went back to my doctor, and I was hospitalized that day because I was so anemic. My blood counts were so low that they put me in the hospital and gave me a couple of transfusions, and then test after test. And then finally, one of the doctors on call happened to be a hematologist. And so he knew right away. He looked at everything. He saw my kidneys were in bad shape and saw I was anemic and, sort of all the signs of myeloma. And he knew right away what it was. And so I was released. The next day I went to his office and started chemo, and that's been it ever since. And I mean, the stars really aligned because he just happened to be the doctor on duty, and he is still my primary oncologist. I have a myeloma specialist as well, but the doctor who diagnosed me I love him and would be lost without him. He's such a caring person and just a really, really cares about his patients. And so, 11 years later, I continue to see him, to talk about anything that's going on, even if it's not cancer related. If, I can talk to him about anything, and I go to his office for therapy, for my treatment and all that. And so that's been it. So, yeah, I kind of was in denial that I was really sick at first, but then at some point I realized this is really different than anything else. And so here I am.
It's crazy. Yeah, here you are.
Here I am, yeah.
It's crazy because, our bodies, they warn us, they give us those little hints, and sometimes we either deny it or what have you, but I think living with this for so long now, you kind of know to question every little thing. Like, oh, that headache, is that a Tylenol headache, or is that like go to urgent care headache? Like, now you kind of just a little maybe oversensitive as to how important that pain or whatever is.
Oh, for sure. I think I'm a little bit paranoid now. Any ache or pain, I worry that it's something. And another thing that I've sort of discovered is that my wife's my caregiver, that it's more stressful for her, if she sees me hobbling around with a bad back, she worries more than I do, and I try to sugarcoat everything for her because I don't want her to worry, but I know how I feel, and so I can kind of deal with it. But for her or a caregiver, sometimes there's a guessing game with how your significant other or how your, whoever you're a caregiver for, however they're feeling, they don't always share everything. So sometimes the caregiver has to guess a little bit, which makes them more stressed. My wife often is a little more tense than I am because, she just doesn't always know what's going on with me.
Right. It's true, because it's like you worry about, like, if you're married or if that's your partner or whatever the situation is, you worry about their health, their well-being as well. But they're doubly worried about whatever is happening with you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
it can be a stressful dynamic because everybody's worrying. You're worried about your care,
Yeah.
and they're worrying just about whatever's happening. It's funny, as I'm speaking and listening to you, I'm like, maybe I should do a show with my husband. That's if he's willing. I don't know if he wants to do this whole situation.
Right.
But to like delve into that a little bit more, because he's very private. But he's going through a lot, especially with me. Okay. It's
Right.
like, it has definitely been a whole load of stuff. Okay. And
Yeah.
luckily he's been there through everything. Like, I don't know if I said before, there was like a couple of times I fell out in the street, and luckily he was right next to me. Like, it's just like so much where I'm like, I'm sure, and we probably joked about it as well, like, what is happening with this woman now? Okay. Like,
Right.
what's going on? But it's a lot,
It is
and
a
it's
lot.
like another side that, a lot of people don't really delve into. Like, can you withstand the whole physical aspect of it along with the mental aspect of it? It's like so much that kind of comes into play when you're diagnosed, right? It's just like,
It is.
okay, this is the medicine that you can take whether you choose to take it or not. But then there's a whole batch of other stuff that no one really tells you how you're supposed to comprehend and do all of it.
There's a lot that they don't tell you. There's a lot. And for me, when I was diagnosed, I know some people like make it like this big team sort of family effort in terms of supporting their loved one when they got diagnosed, but that's kind of not my style. And so I really had wanted it to be me and my wife, Leslie. I wanted us to be the team. And it was interesting because some family members of mine were like a little bit hurt by that. Like, they wanted to be the ones to like step in and, provide guidance and help me decide what treatment to do. And so, I mean, that's another thing that people nobody tells you either. It's like family dynamics with a cancer diagnosis can be really stressful. Like, the first year was really challenging. Sort of setting boundaries and that sort of thing. It was tough. Year one was really rough.
Yeah, it's definitely that whole dynamic. And that could definitely be a show. Like, we have a comment here. I want to say, hi, my friend Bob. Caregiver spouses can be angels on earth. I'd love to see an episode on this. Okay, well, I'll try to work that in.
You should, because caregivers, kudos to your husband, and caregivers they are angels on earth. They're really something.
So
very fortunate.
I have a couple of questions to ask. I don't want time to run out. So,
okay.
Have you found that meeting new friends, with speaking about the whole family aspect of it, which that's a whole conversation in itself, because everybody's family is everybody's family. We'll just leave it like that.
Yeah.
But have you found that meeting new people, new friends, a challenge? And due to multiple myeloma, and how do you cope with that? Is it just you and Leslie or not?
It's, you know what, it is. Most of my new friends, or any new friends I do have, are fellow myeloma patients.
Mhm.
Because we understand the challenges and sort of what goes with myeloma. So I've made a couple of really good friends in my oncologist office, and we go on walks every couple of weeks. I have one friend who I go on a walk with him every couple of weeks, and we go to breakfast. And so the challenge more was with existing friends, I think. The real close ones have been there the whole time and haven't really, disappeared or anything. But there are people that have sort of kind of dropped away, like they don't really want to hear about cancer or people's health concerns. It's not something that they really want to deal with, So it's just how it is.
How do you cope, or do you cope? Or is it just like, it is what it is and you just keep it moving?
I think it is what it is. I have my wife, who's obviously my best friend. I have her friends whose house I'm watching right now, and they've been unbelievable this whole time. And then, a couple of other friends, and that's it.
Right.
And it is what it is. I'm become more of a homebody anyway, so it's not like I want to go out and party and hang out with big groups of people and do all kinds of stuff. And frankly, even though my myeloma is stable, again, this just goes to the never-ending treatment. I mean, my energy is not what it once was. I need to take a nap almost every day, and
Right.
I go to bed at 8:30, and I sleep like a good 9 hours. And so, even though I'm healthy, I suppose, myeloma-wise, having kind of a smaller circle of friends and people that I know kind of is better. I think.
Right.
I don't have the energy to
Do all of that.
do all of that anyways. Sometimes I think I do, and then I don't.
Right. Like, it's funny because I know for me, a lot of my close friends have died. Okay, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's so very young. And I have a huge tribe, but then it's segmented in terms of who you tell this to, who's there for this, and I don't know if that should be the case, but sometimes friendships can be interesting. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you have those pockets where, okay, this friend is my, do or die,
Right.
and then whatever. But it can be interesting because I do have those who are still living, who are definitely my do or die,
Mm-hmm.
But then you have some that are your do or dies who can probably slack a little bit,
Right.
and maybe you can slack as well because you have your thing that you're dealing with. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
but we know as friendship, it has to reciprocate.
Right.
I don't want to hear all about myeloma all day. Okay, great. Well, I don't want to hear about, you and your cat all day either. You know what I'm saying? So let's switch it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this is something else they don't tell you, like when you're diagnosed. Oh, how to deal with the whole friendship aspect of it. If you even care. But some people are just in such a bind. Making a friend, having a friend, that's like the least of their concerns at that point.
Yeah.
you know.
Very true.
So now that you, well, I won't say struggle because I wasn't sure if I should use that word, but going through the treatment with your disease, multiple myeloma, okay, how do you feel about pharma companies? Okay, what is your trust level? And you could choose to answer, not answer. Is not deep of a question as it
Well,
sounds. But the reason why I kind of put that as a question because we know in the last 2 years it's been a struggle with should we or shouldn't we with this whole COVID mess, you know.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
being patient advocates such as us, you know, and we know it's that leverage, right? At the end of the day, we're still trying to survive and we're trying to like be careful what we're doing because our whole immune system is just all jacked up in
Yeah,
general. So,
for sure.
you know, what is your take on your trust level?
You know, struggle is actually a really good word. I mean, I do struggle with it, you know, and you know, like some of the things that we've done together, we're doing it with pharma, and there's a part of me that thinks, well, this, and I'm being totally honest, there's a part of me that thinks, well, this is really great that they want to hear from patients and that they're doing this, and there's another part of me that feels like they're just doing this to say that they're doing it. Like, does it really make a difference? Like, since I retired and went on disability, I'm now on Medicare and a disability. And so I really experience now the high cost of drugs, you know, now that I'm, you know, dealing with, I have to get a prescription plan, right? You know, a Medicare prescription plan. And so, sure, they're looking for, you know, pharma's looking for advocates, and they, you know, they want to sort of get patients' input, but it's not lowering the price of drugs at all. And what, you know, on the political side, any sort of bill to allow Medicare to negotiate prices or to do anything where oral cancer drugs aren't treated the same as infused drugs. Pharma still has a really big impact in terms of lobbying in Washington, D.C. that prevents certain things from happening. So I do struggle with that. And you know, and then they've made, and I know coming up with these drugs, and they've come up with some great drugs in the last several years. You know, they're working to allow us to live and survive. So there, you know, there's people with really good intentions, but honestly, I think bottom line still comes into play.
Yes, I have to agree. I think though the transparency is supposed to be there,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? There's just some things that could be better, and sometimes not even with the farmer, just like whatever the situation or the cause. Sometimes you feel like a child can figure it out. Like it's really not that difficult
Mm-hmm.
for you to figure out how to resolve the situation.
Yeah.
However, it just rolls up all the red tape, all the political thing. It's just too. It's like sometimes I feel like we do ourselves a disservice as to like put all of that crap in there instead of just getting to doing the work as to resolve, you know.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
working.
It's a really tough one.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
All I can say is I don't know, and you know, I can just honestly say I kind of struggle and go back and forth with how I feel about pharma.
Right. I totally get it. So to go back to what you spoke about before, I know you take your little naps every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you consider it totally necessary that you focus on self-care? I know we did speak a little bit about that prior.
I mean, because of that thing we talked about, that life doesn't stop,
Mm,
I would say probably I try to make it so 50% of my time is self-care.
right.
And that's not always even possible. But that's kind of my goal, because I know the other 50%. I mean, I need to be there for my wife, when she's got something going on. I need to support her. And, I have family and stuff that, I want to be there for them when I can. So it's a balancing act, but that is one thing that my doctor who diagnosed me told me, and he tells me this almost every time I see him, is that I can take care of myself. I need to take care of myself. And if somebody doesn't understand that, well, that's too bad.
Right. That's
So,
perfect advice, to be honest.
It is because, if there's, and I think if there's, let's say, some family gathering or someone's in town, but I'm just not feeling up to it, going to an event or going to see somebody or whatever, I think I don't always look like I'm sick. People think that I'm normal, healthy. And so some people don't understand that if I don't want to go to something, some people think I'm being rude.
Right.
And this is, where my wife and my doctor say it's perfectly in my right. If I'm not feeling the energy to do something, or with COVID, if I'm not comfortable with certain situations and I don't want to be part of it, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean I don't feel guilty and I don't feel bad about certain things, but I've gotten better at it.
Right. It's funny. Sometimes it's like we take the brunt of other people's feelings. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I don't want you to feel this kind of way. Me, on the other hand, it depends, because I really don't give a crap. Okay.
That's good.
Like, if I said what I said, and if you feel some kind of way, then whatever. It's just, I don't know if that's age too, where you just kind of like, what?
I think it is. I'm
Poo-poo.
Good. I'm trying to be that way, actually. And it's funny that you just asked that, because I had someone in town, a stepsister who I'm very close with, was just in town recently, lives back east, and I just wasn't up for seeing her, and she was really hurt by that. She was really, took it very personal, and I felt bad about it, but then when I thought about it, I'm like, forget her. I don't need to feel bad about it. I don't feel good. I'm tired, and, I got a back problem, so whatever. If she wants to take it personal, oh well. So I like your attitude, Yolanda.
Yeah, I mean, you can only do so much. It's like a spindle. Like, you just kind of like, it's just too much going on. So it's like, if I say whatever I say, I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
The time or the year of watching how you think about something, those days is like over. Like if I said I'm not feeling like I want to look in your face right now, okay, not to be rude with it, but you know, like
Yeah, I hear you.
but it's just like, come on, you know what I'm saying? It's like a couple of things recently. I was telling my husband, I was like, oh, you want to go here? You want to go there? And it's kind of like, nah. And then I'll follow his lead or he'll follow my lead. And it's like something it's like we still in COVID world, but there's there's just a lot. Everybody's like doing stuff, and it's like, okay, well, the whole family can't go. It'll just have to be one of us. It's like all of you split your time and figuring out, is it worth you being out there in the world to share whatever you have going on, and just pray that you don't catch whatever is happening.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's like, with that said, you shouldn't feel some kind of way because I don't want to kind of be out there. Like sometimes I feel like as someone with whatever they have going on, it's just we do a whole lot of explaining. Most of the time, after a while, it just gets like, just go sit down. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we should. Well, nobody really has to explain. I mean, if anyone's not up to something, I mean, everybody has something going on, and so nobody should have to explain themselves. Like, just, but
Yeah, that one part. So, what is the best time of the day for you?
morning's my favorite time.
Okay, why?
Well, I've always been a morning person, but now I particularly like morning because it's just so, like, that's my time. Like, it's quiet. I go for a walk in the morning or do whatever, and it just feels like even just going for a walk, like it's still like the streets are still empty. I mean, I get up like at 5:30 every day, and I just wake up, and I love it because I just feel like the world is peaceful, or my little world is very peaceful. So that's no question about it.
I love that. And that's so true because in the morning, it is the peace, depending on where you're at, right? You hear the birds chirping, you don't hear a whole lot of hoopla, people are still sleeping or whatever the case is. So it's calm.
Yeah.
Calm is always a good thing.
Calm is good. And, calm allows us to think and sort of figure stuff out, make some decisions or not make some decisions.
Right. Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
So we're up to our time, but I want to have the last question as, what is your parting word for someone who is newly diagnosed with multiple myeloma?
Find a fellow patient that you can talk to. And don't Google it too much, but find a fellow patient who you can talk to, because really that's the best source of support and understanding, and also just learning about the disease. Doctors, like we've talked about, they don't tell us everything, and sometimes even doctors that we love can have a little bit of tunnel vision, and they don't tell you about you're going to have energy issues, or you're going to start getting skin cancers, or this or that. So most of the stuff that I've learned and continue to learn about myeloma and how to just deal with it is from other patients. And we know some common people. There's some folks we have in common that we know, and some of them were the most helpful people for me when I was first diagnosed. Yeah, just find someone to talk to who has the same disease.
I agree.
Yeah. And honestly, and again, I really appreciate you doing this. I mean, just being able to talk to you or talk to someone instead of just holding everything inside. It's like that alone is healing and helpful.
Right. I totally agree. It's a pleasure speaking with awesome advocates. Like, you guys rock, you know, and it's so important that we have a platform without any politics or anything mixed in there, where you can just speak your truth, be transparent to the best of your ability, and just tell it what it is. Like, what was it exactly when you were diagnosed?
Exactly.
You know, simple question, simple answer. Or sometimes the answer isn't that simple, you know.
Right. And sometimes there is no answer, but knowing that there's questions is sometimes pretty helpful.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure. It was a pleasure, Matt. I just want to remind everyone again that everyone can check out the replay if you missed the conversation with Mr. Matt Goldman. Where were you guys? You were late. Okay. But you can check us out on YouTube. Where is it? The thing is right in front of me. Okay, it's under Yolan Run. I don't know why it's like that, but okay. Just look for No Better Time Than the Present series, and it should pop up. And you can check out my link in the bio. That'll bring you right onto the page. It should be up in a couple of days, in a few days. We'll edit and do stuff and all of that. And again, please subscribe, everyone, please. Like, I feel like a broken record, but I get it now. It's like this whole thing with reminding people to subscribe. But it was a pleasure, Matt. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening. I really appreciate you, and we will be in touch again.
Always a pleasure seeing you. You're a blessing. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.